Okay, that's why. Stuck. Quick video about unemployment. It's what I'm about. It's what I know a lot about. Of course, we had over 450,000 first-time filers, which for some reason was a surprise, but it didn't affect the market any. The market's still going up, which I predicted because we're going to be financially attacked by our enemies pretty soon. The jobs situation here in Michigan, and I presume everywhere else, is just horrendous. The unemployment numbers here in Michigan are actually dropping, but that's only because people are dropping off the unemployment rolls. Our recession started into 2007, early 2008, and that's when we had the massive layoffs and people just fled to Mexico and China because China was opened up the floodgates. And when you can get labor for, back then it was like 50 cents for the whole day, maybe not even that. And they were just out of here so quick. I mean, you didn't have to tell them bye, man. They're just gone, these companies, and Michigan's really hurting really bad. We're now labeled as not looking for work. So if you drop off the unemployment rolls, you're no longer collecting benefits, and 75% of us are over 50, then at that time you're just labeled not looking for work, which is fucking ridiculous. Because how the fuck can you live without money? How can you live without fucking resources unless you're like me and you're just fucking hugely in debt? And of course I'm lucky because I stay in a house where the person that owns a house is gone half the year, so I have to maintain it. But I'm still having to borrow money to get by, and it's not looking good. I just got lucky this month and last month. Hell, I might be on the street, man. You know, I fucking know, man. I just got lucky. Side jobs are drying up. I'm putting in 3 resumes a day, and I'm discovering that about 80% of the jobs that I put the resumes in are the same employment agency. And I'm figuring out this, it's a big scam. Don't give up any information to people over the phone, or even if you go in their office. If it looks like, if you're going in some back alley somewhere with no name and a bunch of Mexicans working there and nobody can produce a green card or even an ID, then don't give them your information, whatever you do. Because there's people just trying to steal your information. And I think they're just trying to smuggle more people in from down south to get them up here. I mean, things in Mexico are really horrendous. Now, NAFTA was supposed to cure all of that. That was the big push. NAFTA's going to cure all of our problems out of Mexico. They're not going to want to come up here. Things are going to be so good in there. And look at what's happening. The jobs, we had the shipyard closed down in Texas. Like 50,000 employees, maybe more. There's no more shipyards that do repairs in the United States anymore. That was the last one. So I guess even one guy even told me he came up from Texas because he said the job situation's down there so bad he couldn't survive, and he's not going to survive up here either. But he has family here. They're just simply taking these floating docks and fixing these ships right offshore, so they don't have to bring them on shore to use American labor. And they're getting this cheap labor from these South American countries, and if somebody falls overboard and a shark eats them, nobody gives a shit. You know, they don't have any type of union guidelines or employment guidelines. It's just that, you know, if you need a job, you'll take it. If you get killed and eaten by a shark or something fucked happens, then hey, that's just fucked. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. You're brown. I have to talk real quick here that an American consulate kills 2 Pakistanis. He said it was in self-defense. Of course, they're rioting now in Pakistan. Egypt riots. In the city of Suez, they're claiming that the police massacred some civilians, and the news on that is not getting out yet. Yemen riots. They're following Egypt's lead, of course. Lebanon gone. Syria has already been gone, as well as Jordan. And the police and the military will soon join these people that are rioting, just like they did in Lebanon and Tunisia. They will join. And you're going to watch as these countries fall, more and more are going to fall. These are basically just puppet U.S. governments that we've been propping up with billions and billions of dollars. Well, it's time to stop giving them the money. Syria claims they have a bomb. They're threatening the French folks to get out of Afghanistan. I think they're just giving them a chance. They're going to blow a nuclear bomb, I predicted, in Afghanistan, probably near the United States base. I'm sure we have radar detection satellites and flying platforms that constantly circle around these bases and around the areas where the major Americans are coming in. But we'll see how, if they can actually detect this, it's going to happen. That's what I think. We have gamma ray anomalies coming from the Gulf Coast off Florida. And just before this base in Utah closed down, the Russian satellites detected a burst of gamma ray activity, anomaly they called it, coming from this same area where they closed down this base. They're saying that the Americans salvaged something off the bottom of either the Gulf or the Atlantic. Somehow it's connected to this oil rig blow up, where conspiracy people were saying it was never about oil, it was about getting down to get something else out of the ground, and they just cracked some kind of a layer between the mantle, where the mantle is really toward the surface there in the crust of the earth, and that's still not over. We have dead animals by the millions washing up all over the shores. We have dead whales, porpoise pods, we have birds, all types of marine life are washing up down there in the Gulf of Mexico, and these areas are still off limits. We had a huge animal die off, a herring, up there in Vancouver, BC, and herring are a vital source of the Pacific food chain. Vital. Everything, it seems, that migrates depend on these herring, and they just have a massive die-off, you guys. This is not good, because not only we have a massive herring die-off, and the herring are under a lot of pressure already. The goddamn Chinese and Japanese and these fuckers over there from Asia, they're catching herring. It's a cheap and main source of food for their people, because of course the people are over there starving. They have no food, and these are the prosperous people. The poor people, you're eating insects on a fucking stick, and maybe some dog shit if you're lucky, because there's no dogs over there. They ate the dogs already. Okay, well, that's my unemployment news. Of course, it's fucked, and all these nations falling around Israel is just the predecessor to this financial attack that we're going to endure here in the United States. They're going to attack our markets. I mean, all this bad news, housing. I mean, I can go down this one main street here in my little town I live in, and half the houses are fucking empty. I mean, we have the housing problem, we have the unemployment problem, we have the 43 plus Americans on living off of food stamps. Otherwise, they would be starving. We have charities stretched to the limits. We have billions of people in Africa and these Southern American countries that are just starving to death. There's nothing to eat. We have floods and animal die-offs and volcanoes. This is all correlating towards one pinnacle. It's going to happen, but before that happens, we're going to be collapsed. Our government, our financial system's going to be collapsed. The commodities, everything's going to collapse. And they're going to go back up, because they can't collapse and stay at pennies or whatever. They're going to go back up, but by the time they go back up, the dollar will be basically finished, dead. Stick a fork in it, and the people here in America won't be able to afford commodities, because the dollar will be basically worthless. They'll have to start trading in some of the currency, and my guess is these rich fuck you bankers and the government and these fuckers have already invested in other commodities, or rather currencies, and they're ready for this. It's the poor people, once again, that are going to get fucked. But this is Duck. That's my commentary. I'm going to do some fishing and bitching here in a little while. Go out to the lake after I do the rest of my job search and some repairs around the little homestead here. This is Duck out.